I know there's like a lot of fun little phrases guys like to throw around out there with fitness, like it's a marathon, not a sprint, right? It's like, it's not a marathon. It's not a race of any kind. It's literally the game of life that we want to stay in for as long as possible. You weren't put on this earth to be overweight, unhappy, or insecure, right? I can picture you at your best, but we're not going to get there by sprinting. We might have periods of time where we speed the game up a little bit because you've built momentum.
Yeah.
But how do we build momentum, dude? We're surrounded by messaging and marketing that tells us there's a faster way, there's a better way. But what has always led to success in any area of my life is consistency. That's it.
Shawn French, what up? This one's luck, I let the pain inspire me. I put my all in everything I'm doing. Up until it's done, I'm me for the entirety. I put in overtime, I be working. Just know I'ma go for mine, cause I earned it. They watching, I know it's time. I confirmed it. A whole society determined success.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Determined Society. I'm your host, Shawn French. Before I introduce today's amazing guest, please, if this is the first time you're listening or watching this show, hit the subscribe button, hit the follow button, and share the show with anybody that you know that's going to get value out of today's guest and conversation. Without further ado, follow our social handles at the Shawn French and at the Determined Society for more clips and updates on everything we got going on and checking us out. But today I have an amazing individual. His name is Josiah Novak. He's a fitness professional, creator of the 3M system, and just an overall faith-based and amazing dude. In a very short time, I become good friends with him, and I'm doing life with him, and I'm super excited to be a part of his program, but just more than anything, excited to be his friend. Josiah, welcome to the show, baby.
I appreciate you, man. Thanks for having me. And the feeling is definitely mutual. We just skipped over all the small talk and became good friends quick.
God, isn't that great?
Yeah,
those are called divine friendships, man.
Yeah, it's when two people who have the same, I guess you could call it vibration, or just the same energy level with the same trajectory connect. It's just you don't have to play any kind of games. You're just like, hey, brother, we're definitely on the same wavelength. So let's just skip all the small talk and jump right into a friendship.
Yeah, I loved it. You know, big shout out to my boy, AJ Ackerman. And it's funny how it happened, right? Because he tagged me on one of your posts. He's like, hey, man, I'm going to work out twice a day. Are you in? I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm not in. I'm not doing any form of 75 hard ever again. No. I've done it many times, but, you know, it's not the lifestyle that I want to live anymore. But I just started, you know, kind of just diving into you a little bit. I'm like, I like this guy's energy, man. And I asked AJ, I'm like, who is this guy? He's like, I don't know. He's just a really cool dude. I dig what he says. He's very cool. I'm like, all right, I think I'm going to try to be friends with this guy. and you know, and that's what is going on in the background of my mind. And then, you know, you did a post or something saying your goal in 2025 was to get on 50 shows. And so, by the way, if you're a podcast host and you love good people and you want to send a good message, you need to hit my boy up. His handles and everything to get a hold of him will be in the show notes. Have him on your show, because I think your audience is really going to get a ton from him, as you'll see as you listen to the rest of this conversation. But, you know, then he tagged me and he's like, Shawn French. I'm like, dude, let's do this, man.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Soon, though, you're going to have to come here in person. We're going to do it in person.
I'm always up for in-person shows. I prefer that, actually. You and I just wanted to make it happen fast. So
we did.
You know, we'll have a follow-up. I'll have you on my show and we can do that one in person, or swap episodes again face-to-face for sure.
Oh, it'll be so much fun, dude. You know, off the air, guys, that people that are listening, watching, I was talking to Josiah about his most recent episode that he dropped. And, you know, I did mention that he's a fitness professional, but I want to talk a little bit about your episode that you dropped on Wednesday. I think you recorded it on New Year's Day, and it was called Buy Back Your Time. Why don't you give the audience a little synopsis of, you know, where you were going with that and why you felt it was necessary to put that out there in the ethers?
100%, man. So my company, True Transformation, we have a couple really clear objectives that we want to help everybody who walks through our door, virtually or in person, achieve. And I think it all starts with understanding the time that we have here. right? The time that we're given on Earth, if you want to use that term. There's a couple thoughts around it. One is life moves really fast. And so we want to make life count. And that's our tagline. Life moves fast, make it count. The other thing is I truly believe that you were not put here as a man, or if you're listening and you're a woman, you weren't put here to suffer through life feeling out of shape, unhealthy, low energy, despising yourself, feeling lack of confidence. I truly believe you were put here to feel your best. It's obviously going to require some work, but the amount of time that we're given is not infinite. Now, I'm a faith-based guy, and I think that there is forever waiting past our time here on this earth. But while we're here, it's my mission to help you make an impact. So in order to do that, we have to level up the quality of the time that we have here. And there's a few things that we have to unpack from that mission. And number one is, how do we get more time, right? Because one of the biggest things I hear from guys when it comes to their health, their body, their fitness is, I just don't have the time. I'm a dad. I have 2 boys. I coach all their sports. I'm involved in everything they do. Then, of course, I'm married. And there's date night, which I'm going on tonight, right? And then there's social life. My wife is a total social butterfly, and I'm more of an introvert, like to work, like to do stuff at home. But I got to get out there and mingle and do all that. So it's like, all of a sudden I look at my calendar and I'm like, wow, going to the 75 hard comment, I don't have time for 75 hard, right? Like, who does really long term? But at the end of the day, I want to have time. And the time that I do have, I want it to be super high quality. Mm-hmm. So how do we get more time, and how do we improve the quality of our time? How do we do that through fitness? Well, I think there's a number of ways. And so that episode, Buy Back Your Time, is part of a theme that we have in place for our clients this year. It's like, how do we optimize everything you do? So we save you time, right? You don't waste any time. We don't want you wasting time doing things that don't work, trying to research, trying to build your own plans, trying to do all this stuff yourself when you could be looking at wasting hours and hours and hours of time over the long haul. Also, in the future, the time that you get back, how do we improve the quality of that time? So there's a lot of different layers to this, but it all starts with looking at what actually works with fitness. What are you doing now that you don't need to be doing, right? Like, what is your current situation like? Let's completely optimize everything you do. So an easy example that, I know you've mentioned a couple of times now that you're working with me that we're trying to implement is your meal strategy, right? I don't want you having to waste 4 hours a week meal prepping. I don't want you to have to think about tracking every calorie, measuring out everything that you eat, spending time portioning 6 meals a day from the scale to the Tupperware. And all of a sudden you look at your time and you're like, holy crap, dude, like this is taking up a solid 6-8 hours of my week. Your time is super valuable. So when we start to look at the measurables and say, man, like how much time can we save doing things the right way with fitness? And then by getting in shape, the time that I do have is way higher quality. I'm more efficient. I have more energy. And now I'm crystal clear from a mental, spiritual, physical health standpoint. So it just feels like I'm basically getting more out of the time that I have, and I'm getting more time through doing things the efficient way, the smart way, right? No longer following all the bro science, guys who want to push extremes. I know that all that stuff sounds awesome in some cases, right? It's like, ooh, that's the magical pill. I should eat 6 meals a day, or I should cut all my carbs and walk twice a day, lift twice a day. That's going to get me there faster. When in fact, it's probably not going to get you there much faster, if faster at all. And it's going to cut into your time, right? And it's going to frustrate you because on the back end, you're going to lose all the hard work, think you wasted all the time, which in some aspects you did. So then we have to redo, unpack, unlearn, relearn. It just takes up so much valuable asset, right? Which is the most valuable asset that we have, which is our time.
Yeah. Dude, honestly, man, like the one thing that struck me in that episode and all the things that you're saying, I'm resonating with because, as a father of 3 and a husband, I have the show, I have a couple other businesses. Like time is of massive value for me, and I don't want it to be spent in the damn kitchen. I'm sorry. I just don't. I don't want it to be spent in a gym, although I do find it productive for me to wake up at 4. I don't like to wake up at 4, but I just know that time wise, if I get it done then, I have the rest of the day to do whatever it is I need to do. But the one thing that I felt was really helpful, and I don't think many fitness experts go into it in a great detail like you did. And I know you're my friend, and people are saying like, dude, you're just stroking him because it's your boy. Yes and no. Okay. Because you said something very impactful within the first 10 minutes. Why go into the gym? Make it an hour. You're farting around for 15 minutes with all the fluff, doing isolation exercises that probably aren't going to get you to what you need to do to make you more lean and strong, which is those compound movements. And so, as I'm going through the workout today, I'm thinking, well, that I'm reflecting on, I'm like, okay, he had me do this bench exercise. He had me do the bulletproof shoulders, which is multiple movements, right? He had me do the back. He had me do some more shoulders. All more compound movements that were working more than one muscle group at a time. So it was much more efficient, getting, the overall strength and the overall leanness over time as it compounds. That was a very good point, and it's not talked about enough. People talk about more volume. And in fact, I'm going to say this, but First Form is famous for that. Like, I got hurt doing some of their programs because it's like, it was literally 10 exercises, a workout. Yeah. Like in an intermediate level, I'm like, the volume here is just ridiculous. I don't even understand how I got through the 4 weeks, but then I ended up getting hurt, man.
Sure. Yeah. I think a lot of what you see online, unfortunately, is created by guys who have, and once again, I hope this doesn't come across like we're bad mouthing anybody, because
no, I'm not. It's a fact.
Intentions are good, right? Yeah. Like I'm blessed to have had a lot of hands-on, in-person, real life, working with guys like you in the gym for years, man. Like my entire first, let's call it 10 plus years, had at least half of my business in person, training real life people in the gym from walks of life that are similar to ours. They just want to, at the end of the day, knock out a couple things. They want to look good, right? Like, let's just get that out there. I love looking good, dude. I want to look awesome in a shirt and awesome without a shirt on. Also don't want to get hurt, because injuries suck. Even if you're not an athlete, injuries just suck. We are athletes. We got to provide for the family. So I joke around with guys all the time who say, well, I don't get paid to work out. I'm not an athlete. I said, what happens if you get hurt and you can't work? Oh, well, yeah. Okay. I guess I do kind of get paid to stay healthy, right? Yeah. Yeah. So you got to train smart. And then, of course, they want to live a longer period of time. They want their life span to increase and the quality of life to go up. So anyway, I've had all that experience. So when we build programming, it's based off of that. A lot of what you see online are guys who think, man, because I look a certain way, I can just tell guys to do whatever. And the general direction most programs go is more is better. Yeah. Right. Because when you write a big program that feels really hard and people can't complete it, or they feel like they're struggling through it, in some instances, you're playing on a little bit of insecurity there, right? Where you're like, oh, I'm not at that level yet. All right, I'll work my way through it. I don't play that game. I want you to leave the gym feeling better than when you walked in. Because I know that's a long game. It's never ending, right? Yeah. So we also have to unpack, if we're talking about the training side, a lot of guys have had injuries doing stuff in the gym that they don't want to revert back to. They don't want to go back to doing the bench press, the squats, the deadlifts, because they're like, man, that one time I did it a couple of years back, man, my shoulder popped or my knee buckled and I twisted my lower back, and now I don't want to go back there. So they then start to gravitate to the isolation, cable stuff, the fancy stuff that doesn't hurt. They're like, oh, this is cool. I can do a one-arm chest cable fly with 20 pounds and I get a little pump and it feels cool, right? Not necessarily the worst maneuver, because you don't want to get hurt. But if there's a way to train with compound lifts like we do in a safe spot, right? With machines, with dumbbells, and positions, body positions that prevent injury and still get you stronger, still hit multiple muscle groups at the same time. So you're in and out of the gym in 45 minutes, no more than an hour, a few times a week, and you're getting stronger progressively, right? Overloading the body. Man, you win, right? Because you're also avoiding injuries, and you feel more confident in your ability to hit the gym and train with some intensity. So it all kind of comes down to just basic principles and understanding that the non-sexy, boring stuff works. You can make it sexier by simply progressing and looking in the mirror and going, dang, like,
yeah,
I'm making gains, right? That's the sexy part. So yeah, to your point, man, I mean, that is something in the training space that I guess just doesn't get talked about enough because I don't know, maybe it's just doesn't feel as sexy as talking about all the fancy, volume based metrics that people chase.
You said something that was parallel to life in every single way possible, man. The sexiness is in the boring or the mundane, or it was something of that in that realm, right? And we seem to think when we're going for something, whether it's in business or fitness or even in our relationships with our spouses, right? Because we go through seasons where we have to come back from things and we think if we do more is better. If we do more. But really what's going to win is those consistent things on a daily basis that compound into building that relationship back up, or the relationship with yourself or your business or your body or, and I just think that it needs to be highlighted more than the hustle culture, right? Mm-hmm. Because we want things that are sustainable, whatever facet of life we're talking about. Because if it's not sustainable and you cannot do it consistently, then who cares if you did it for a month, 3 months ago? It's irrelevant. Like, babe, I bought you flowers 17 times in October, but you feel neglected ever since. How does that make any sense, right?
Sure. Yeah. It's funny you say that. I actually have a story from a friend who did that.
Oh, God.
I remember a guy. I was a younger guy. I won't name names, but he was dating someone close to our family. And he said, I'm going to buy her flowers every day, man. Like, that's just my habit. I said, brother, like, is that sustainable? They're no longer together. That's the long story short. But yeah, like, but here's the flip side of that, right? I'm a married guy, been married for almost 11 years. Mm-hmm. And we do one date a week. And it's not always a date night. Sometimes it's a day date. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's grabbing coffee in the morning. We try to be really consistent, but you have kids, you have a life, you have work or whatever. Sometimes things move around. But once a week, right? It's not every day. Some nights we're separate and doing separate things. Mm-hmm. But we have that one anchor in our week, right? And here's the thing, that consistency compounds over time. So with training, I know there's like a lot of fun little phrases guys like to throw around out there with fitness, like it's a marathon, not a sprint, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, it's not a marathon. It's like, it's not a race of any kind. Mm-hmm. It's literally the game of life that we want to stay in for as long as possible.
Yeah.
I said it earlier, we stand by the mantra that you weren't put on this earth to be overweight, unhappy, unhealthy, and not confident or insecure, right? And that's not me telling you suck if you're not in shape. It's just saying, like, I totally believe in you, dude. Like, I can look at any guy, doesn't matter what shape, size, or whatever, and be like, I can picture you at your best, right? So trust me, I got that vision in my head. Let me transfer it to you. But we're not going to get there by sprinting. Mm-mm. We might have periods of time where we speed the game up a little bit because you've built momentum.
Yeah.
But how do we build momentum, dude? Well, we build momentum from, like you just said, you nailed it, consistency, right? If I can go to the gym inconsistently 6 times a week, that does me no good if after 6 weeks I'm out of the game because I got burnt out. I hurt myself. I got tendonitis or whatever, right? Mm-hmm. Like 75 Hard, man. I love Andy. He's been on my show a long time ago. I think he's a great human being. But I don't agree with 75 Hard because it's not something guys can do consistently. So every year I see the same guys going, yep, it's that time of year again. I'm going to get in shape with 75 Hard. And then 6 months later, it's like, I'm out of shape. I need to do 75 Hard again. Same thing with keto. It's like, I'm going to do keto. It's almost summertime. And I'm like, brother, What if you just live lean year round? What if being in shape didn't feel hard anymore? Like, just picture the impossible games that you are thinking are totally out of your reach, but they're there if we're willing to play the game of life, right? Not the race, the marathon, the sprint, or whatever. But that's just the world we live in, brother. Like, we're surrounded by messaging and marketing that tells us there's a faster way, there's a better way. It's same with business, man. Like, there's just always the next thing. But what has always led to success in any area of my life is consistency. That's it.
You know, and I do these things every morning, right? When I'm sitting there in the parking lot of the gym, I write these things out, you read them. And in every single morning, like, I don't want to be in that parking lot.
Isn't that amazing?
I mean, it's truly, and it's something you posted today. It's like, I don't feel like working out today, so I'm going to work out today. I don't feel like doing this, so I'm going to do that. It's not about look at me. It's about how much discipline can I instill in that very moment, right? Because when that alarm clock goes off, no matter, I don't care if you have it set for 6 or 7 a.m., guys, for those of you listening, I'm not saying you have to get up at 4 a.m. like me. I'm saying if you have to get up at 4 a.m. like me because of everything you have going on, then when the alarm goes off and you don't get up, you're showing lack of discipline at that very moment. And I have been there, like, very recently. I'm only on track since December 3rd here. So I'm not sitting here up on my soapbox. I know I have to stay vigilant every single day and aware, because I don't want to fall back into that. So please don't, I don't want you to feel like I'm coming from like, I have it all figured out, because I don't. I'm figuring it all out. But if you set it for 4, you set it for 6 or 7 or 8 or whatever it is your schedule is, then man, I need you to get up and do that thing. Because if you do that one thing, then the next right thing is going to be much easier for you to choose. Right? It's like when you go out to a restaurant, like I did before, right? Before we recorded, I got mixed greens and double chicken. That's it. But if I didn't wake up at 4 a.m. and I didn't follow the plan and the process and have discipline throughout the whole first part of my day, I might have said, well, what's wrong with that BLT on a croissant? and maybe there's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, maybe.
But is it what I feel like I need to do right then? So, then we dive into the discipline and process and strategy. And I think that is so important in fitness. But if you can execute it in fitness, what are your thoughts on your daily productivity in work, in your marriage, or anything else?
Yeah, man. Dude, you said it so perfectly. And I'm right there with you, bro. Like, just because I'm some fitness coach guy who, whatever, gets guys in shape or helps lead guys to where they want to be, doesn't mean I'm immune to, I call it, and I don't curse, but I'm going to use a word. So the inner bitch. Okay. That's what I call it, right? There's a version of me that doesn't want to do everything I know I need to do. And it's really loud before I make the breakthrough, right? That's just how it all is. So like your scenario with the double chicken or the croissant, only you know what's in alignment with what you want, right? I don't know. I can tell you what I think you should do, but there could be a time where that double BLT or whatever is what you need, right?
Yeah, it's going down.
There's a portion of your life that should be set aside for enjoyment when it makes sense. Most of the time, though, I get to the gym. First of all, the heaviest weight you'll lift is that door that you push open, right? To get into the gym.
Yeah.
That's number one. The exercise is the hardest exercise is the one where you bend over, tie your shoes, you get your shorts on, your pants or whatever, and you go drive to the gym or wherever you go. And it's almost like we're just training our brain to embrace the uncomfortable in a small portion of our day, to start our day with working out. That's why I love working out in the morning. But then it leads to that overwhelming sense of self-belief and confidence when you walk out of the gym.
Come on.
Dude, because there's no better feeling, man. This is why I tell guys, chase that feeling, that feeling of accomplishment. Because, dude, like, I don't care if you're the leanest guy on earth. I don't care if you're the most jacked guy on earth. None of that matters to me. What matters is that you're in alignment with who you are supposed to be.
Yeah.
And you'll believe in yourself. Single day, you'll have that moment. Doesn't matter if the world's burning down, the news tells you everything's falling apart, there's drones flying all over your house, whatever's going on, right? It doesn't matter.
Oh,
You got the gym, true. Man. And then, dude, like, I'll tell you, man, that, like, this is something I'm experiencing now. So this is happening in real time. I'll speak to the dads real quick, like ourselves, right? We have children that, for me, they're entering the phase where they're starting to become very aware of everything. They're calling me out, right? It's my 10-year-old especially. He's my twin. And so there's something about the interactions we have with people, not just our children, of course, but I'm using the children as an example. There's something about the interactions we have when we've done what we said we're going to do, whether they know it or not. They don't always see me go work out. They don't see me do the meals, whatever. But when I'm interacting with them, there's something about the energy there that's different when you've done what you said you're going to do versus
you're open,
when
man. You're open.
You're in alignment, right? Your high integrity is there with yourself. And, so the short of it is, the short answer to, what gets me over that, like, I don't want to go work out, but I'm going to go work out. It's so I'm not a jerk. Because I'm going to treat myself the way I'm supposed to treat myself by honoring my commitments. Even if it's a 10-minute workout, bro. Like, I don't care. If I got to go do 10 minutes and that's the best I can do, then that's what I'm going to do. But then the rest of my day, when I have a podcast with Shawn, when I have a text with my clients, I'm not sitting there going, man, I'm such an idiot. I skipped my workout. Oh, man, I'm such a loser, right? I'm like, dude, I did my commitments. I'm not perfect, but I did my commitments. And now I'm able to show up in the other arenas that we play in, feeling that overwhelming sense of accomplishment and self-belief. It's so simple, but it's powerful, bro.
There's less anxiety there, man. You know what I mean? I think a lot of things that we deal with on a daily basis, whether we're a husband or a wife or just a human being, right? If you're not any one of those other two titles, is when we struggle to do the things that we know we need to do in order to get us to where we need to go. It's going to help us get better. When we sacrifice and negotiate with ourselves and don't do them, we're mad at ourselves. We're mad at ourselves all day. Then the fight with your spouse comes. Then the fight with your kid comes. Then the thing that the grocery clerk said actually wouldn't have made you mad, but it did, and it ruined your day because you're so mentally whacked out right now because you can't even control your own decisions.
Yeah.
Like, that's truly what happens. And what I've found over the last month is that my response level is different. Like, what was it yesterday? My wife and I were joking around, and sometimes we have the most hysterical banter, like in public places where like the servers are just like I had some sashimi last night and the server was probably like, what's going on? Like, but everything becomes more playful because I'm in alignment with me. Like, I'm taking care of my side of the street. So I don't have anything weighing my mind down, and I'm present in that moment and happy because I know I'm making another right decision. And then and then we just laugh and we have a great time. I mean, that's what I want. Right. And so for me, that's how things start manifesting in my life when I'm making the good decisions. All my interactions, to your point, become very free.
Yeah. You just feel like your true self. There's two brains that we have a little ongoing battle happening inside our head, right? We think we have a brain. It's really two portions of the brain. One is the large in charge side, which is actually the emotional side. And then we have the logical brain, which is, if you can picture a pretty vivid scenario, you have the logical brain sitting in the back seat of a car going 100 miles an hour down the highway, and the driver is an out of control, pissed off elephant. That's your emotional brain, right? So how do we get that crazy emotional brain under control, right? Well, we have to get the emotional brain to feel like it's like it's making logical decisions, right? And that we're leading it towards what it wants emotionally. So what do we want when it comes to food? Well, emotionally, we want to relieve stress. We want a portion of our day to just be a free tasting good. Don't got to say no to all the good stuff because I've been saying yes to everybody all day and I'm just pissed off, right? So I want to pound a bunch of drinks and appetizers and just let loose, right? So the trick is, well, what if we can get that same emotional feeling high by doing the right thing?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so when we have these little pockets throughout our day, the morning being probably arguably the biggest one, where we have a chance to give our emotional brain a win. Well, then the emotional brain starts to go, okay, the logical thing kind of worked out.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I don't want to go to the gym, dude. I want to sleep in, man. Like, I work hard. I need that extra hour of sleep, right? We make decisions emotionally, we justify with logic. Yeah, logically, maybe you do need a little extra sleep sometimes, but today's not that day. Today, you got to go to the gym. Today, you got to get up. You got to go do chest and shoulders and triceps or whatever. But emotionally, we walk out of that gym and we go, wow, man, I needed that.
Yeah.
I needed that. So then when we go and have emotional conversations with our spouse, playful dating, scenarios, or our kids are having a moment, right? As all kids do. And you have to control your emotions. Well, you just did control your emotions earlier today or all day, making the right decisions. So sometimes it's a subconscious way of operation that we don't even realize is happening because we're controlling our emotional brain so much through our fitness.
Yeah.
Right. These are things that a lot of people don't want to talk about because it sounds very woo-woo, right? It's like, oh, what are you talking about, bro? It's just macros and lift some weights and do your steps. It's like, yeah, but how is that restructuring your identity? How is that changing how you operate?
Yeah. And it's never about that.
Right.
Like anybody that has ever gone on a transformational journey will tell you that it starts from within. It's not about the macros. It's not about the weights. It's not about the steps. It's what you have to do internally to turn your thermostat up to the point where, like, you sit there, I deserve this. Like, I deserve to see what Shawn French looks like at 12% body fat. I haven't seen it since college. Let's put some muscle on. Let's shed some fat and see what you look like naked. Like, that's what everybody's shooting for. And I love how you're unapologetically about it. Like, everything gets better when you look better naked.
100%.
Like, I mean, like, you can sit there in a marriage, and if you're not happy with your body, you're going to be self-conscious even in front of your spouse.
Yeah.
Even you're not immune to that. And so to me, it's more about, like, even now, I'm nowhere near what I want to be, but I'm feeling much better about it because I'm making those decisions. And I'm like, I know I look a little bit better now, right? Because if I can visually see it, and I'm my worst critic. But if I look in the morning, I'm like, okay, this is starting to get better, right?
Sure.
But that's an internal thing. And it sounds visual, it sounds external, but it's really not. It is a core belief at that point. And I'm starting to rewire everything in my mind. And quite honestly, it's the first time I've ever done it consciously. I straight up, dude, straight up. It's the first time I've ever done it consistently without shame. Because that's another thing. Like, I've been on this journey. It's like I would start to get in shape out of shame, hating myself. Yeah. Right. But now it's like, no. I love myself so much. I want to see how much longer you can be on this earth for your children. I want to be that old, 90-year-old that's holding my great grandkids. I want all these things. And, so for me, it's like, all right, we're pushing this envelope now. Right. And this is all internal. It's all it is. Right. And even before, even when I was playing baseball, I mean, that was half a lifetime ago when I played at Louisiana State University. I did it because I was told to. Like, I did it. I looked good and I played and I was in shape because I knew if I didn't, I didn't have a place. It wasn't because it was my own decision. Right. And I think that's a lot of things too, that former athletes, as they get out, and I know you help a lot of former athletes like myself get back in that peak condition. But, when you're not performing like that any longer, it's very hard to get in that zone.
You said something there, man. Well, you said a few things that are so incredibly powerful. One of which is the source of our transformation, right? Where is it coming from? Shame is a big one, man. Like I see so many guys get shamed online, publicly. In fact, guys pay thousands of dollars to be shamed, right? And be told that they're worthless and that they suck and all this stuff. At the end of the day, hey, that might end up working for you for a short period of time. What I would encourage anybody listening to think about is exactly what you said. Changing the source of your inspiration. For me and the guys I work with, we call it identity design. I would argue you're already the dude who has the body fat percentage, has the lean physique that he wants. You're already that guy. You just need more time. Yeah. Right. We talk about buying back your time. You just need to live in alignment with who you truly are for longer periods of time, and the results will show up. But doing it from a place of love and care for yourself. You can't go out and serve others from an empty vessel. If I go get in shape, right? Think about the downstream effect from this. Like I sat there and I thought about this the other day and I was like, man, like I love a lot of dudes in the fitness industry. I love a lot of dudes in the personal development industry. They're good dudes. They got a crap ton of trauma, and all they're doing is taking their trauma and they're going out and providing traumatic experiences for guys, beating them into the ground physically in some cases, saying this is the only way, pain, and you got to break yourself and do all this stuff. Then those guys go out, they get in a little bit of better shape, and then they go out and they pass this on to their children. Like, we're going to go out and we're going to, do these torturous things because that's the only way. So then you create this hatred of the process. Dude, when I stopped doing that crap, when I said, okay, I don't need to beat myself to death to get in better shape. Why am I doing that anyway? Well, want to know why? Because I grew up in a very physically abusive home. I thought discipline meant getting my ass kicked. Right? That's what I thought discipline meant. Discipline is actually filling up your tank with the right things, of course. Starts with your messaging. I read the Bible, instead of going and watching porn on the internet, right? Like I know it's easy to do that. Trust me, I'm not immune to it. But I got to fill up my tank with the right things. I fill up my tank. I give myself fuel, mental fuel, spiritual fuel, physical fuel. I show myself some compassion and some care, not through lies, not saying it's okay to be overweight, not saying, dude, it's fine, eat that cheeseburger, eat those fries. No, because that stuff makes me feel like crap. That stuff takes away the quality of my life. That stuff makes me a poor father in a lot of cases, right? I don't want that. I perform terribly in the bedroom when I eat like crap, right? Well, that's not love, dude. That's treating myself like a jackass, right? But I don't take care of myself from a place of shame. I go, dude, I want to look in the mirror and be proud of who I am. I want to show up in rooms, speak to a group of guys and pour into these dudes. I don't want to go in there and make them feel lower than an ant or like crap because they're not ripped and shredded yet. No, they just haven't figured it out. They've also, a lot of guys like yourself and people who we interact with, man, there's some badass dudes. They just don't have the badass physique because they haven't applied their badass traits to that part of their life yet. Yeah. Pour into those dudes. Next thing you know, you got a guy who's like a loving, caring, compassionate, happy person who's calm in the face of adversity versus the guys you see online who are angry and they're fighting the haters and like flip. It's like, guys, like, come on, man. You're not fooling anybody. You got trauma, bro. Right. Yeah. And just because you're jacked and shredded and on, all sorts of hormones, which I love hormones. They're awesome. But like, dude, filter that through a place of love and care for yourself and you will succeed for eternity, brother. Right. You will live a life that you could only ever have imagined through health and fitness because you did it from a place of love and care. Trust me, this stuff isn't easy, right? Like we all have trauma. We all have a story, but this is what I see happening. And I think to your point, consciously realizing that is so huge, man. Like what would I do or tell someone to do that I truly cared about? Well, why don't I do that for myself?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I wouldn't tell my son go do 75 hard, bro. I'd be like, hey man, let's just clean up the nutrition. Let's get a quick pump in. Let's go for a walk in the sun. Let's get a little extra hour of sleep. Go to bed a little earlier. You still got to get up early, but let's just go to bed earlier. Like, bro, treat yourself like you would the person you love the most.
Love it, man. Love it. Before we end the show, man, I want you to talk about the 3Ms. It's a big pillar of your program and how you lead me and your other clients. Talk to the audience about what the 3Ms are and how you implement it.
Dude, yeah, for sure. No gatekeeping here, guys. Like this is the foundation to what we do. So I'll hold nothing back. At the end of the day, I think fitness should be simple. That's something I think goes for anything in your life that you're really aiming for total greatness and accomplishment. Complications slow down the process. So I don't want anybody feeling like fitness requires a lot of hoops to jump through and obstacles to overcome. At times, I know looking at your fitness goals feels like you're at the bottom of Mount Everest looking up going, I can't even see the top. Like, how am I going to get up there? Right. Well, this is how you do it. You have a very simple system that allows for repetition and consistency. The 3M system is where we find that. And the first part of that is called movement. And it's really simple, man. Like, you need to adopt a movement-based lifestyle. And you don't have to do the Peloton. You don't have to do the step mill. Unless, of course, you want to and you enjoy that and you have the time for it and it's something you get pleasure out of. But most guys that I work with, like Shawn, you know, dude, at the end of the day, our two legs are our cardio machine. You know, we try to incorporate walking when possible. If I was having a meeting with Shawn and it wasn't a podcast, I didn't need to be focused and super locked in and we're just having a quick chat, I might pull out my walking pad and just knock out a couple thousand steps over a 30-minute period while I'm talking to him, right? If we were in person and we were talking business and we wanted to just chat, I'd say, why don't we just go grab a quick walk and talk while we're strolling along, right? My wife and I tonight, we're going on a date night. The first thing we're doing, she's got to do a little bit of shopping, so we're going to go to the mall. I'm going to go knock out like 3,000 steps, bro, walking around for 45 minutes, right? So movement is pillar number one. Most people don't realize how sedentary they truly are. How much movement you need to do, how we get it done, that's dependent on your schedule, your life, your goals, right? That's where we get custom with it. But you can experiment and just start walking more. That's number one. So easiest pillar in my eyes is movement. Number two is muscle. Now, everybody needs muscle. I don't care if you're a 99-year-old grandfather or a 25-year-old dude who wants to impress chicks at the beach, right? You need muscle. So muscle is what's going to elevate your metabolic capacity. So when you carry more muscle, when you have more on your frame, your body burns more calories. Not to mention, when you lose body fat, you want to look good, right? So you got to carry some muscle. We're not talking about cartoonish superhero Hulk status, even though, man, if that's your thing, like, dude, I'm not going to stop you, but it's really hard. So, you know, good luck with it. It's, you know, muscle is looked at in some cases as like, I don't want too much of it, dude. You don't have to worry about that, right? Like, the more you typically carry, the leaner you look, right? So muscle, though, is not something that needs to be done every day, right? The muscle pillar needs to be checked off with, like we talked about earlier, smart training 3 to 4 times a week, sometimes less if that's all you got time for, sometimes more if you are addicted to the gym, which is totally cool. But done in a smart way that prevents injury, that builds strength and muscle maintenance or addition over time. Okay. Focusing mostly on movements that allow you to train more than one muscle group in one exercise, using machines, using dumbbells, using safe ways to accomplish the same goal, right? That's pillar number 2. Second easiest pillar, in my opinion. Third, and arguably the hardest pillar, just because we're surrounded by it 24/7, is meals. All right, our food strategy. You know, you think about how often we eat, even if we only ate twice a day. Well, that's easily more, you know, double what we do workout wise, right? I mean, nobody goes to the gym, I would say, who's got a normal schedule twice a day. So we're just eating more than we're training. So naturally, there's going to be more opportunities for us to screw up. And I'd say there, more than anything else, there's so many theories around nutrition that it can be really confusing for guys. Like, oh, do I cut my carbs? Am I allowed to eat after 6? Do I fast? What's this testosterone diet? What's this carnivore diet? What's this? It's endless, bro.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give you guys a hack right now. This is no gatekeeping whatsoever. There's only two things, and you can look this up. You can figure it out on your own if you want, but trust me, I've worked with thousands of guys, so I know it's true. There's two things you got to master: your calorie range and your protein range. Those two things, and what I mean by range is we got to be in what I call it the bumper lanes with calories and protein. We got to have a certain amount of calories that we need to eat just to live, and we don't want to go above a certain amount so that our body stays in fat burning mode, right? Calorie deficit is a scientific term. Protein is the most important nutrient in the body. So we got to get enough protein. You don't need to go crazy. We're not talking buying your own cow and chickens and like just eating chicken and steak around, unless once again, that's your thing. I'm not going to stop you, but protein needs to be managed. There's easy ways to do this without having to track all your calories. The right coach and the right system will set that all up for you. But once you figure it out, man, it's on autopilot, right? So you get those three pillars dialed in: your movement muscle, you're eating the right amount of calories and the right amount of protein, or within range, right? You don't have to be the same every day. You'd be surprised at how quickly your body changes, and not to mention how hard it is to lose all your progress if you stick to that script long-term, right? Because man, it's three simple things. All right, I got to move a certain amount, got to lift a few days a week, got to stay within range of my calories 80 to 90% of the time. Then I can get away with a little bit of the fun stuff here and there. It's like, I don't know, this feels kind of like what I was doing before, except just slightly tighter. And all of a sudden I'm getting way more results.
Yeah.
Right. Because that's the truth, bro. Like most people don't realize they're on the edge of maintenance pretty much all the time. Right. They're like slightly above maintenance in terms of adding weight. So they just add a little bit every year. Right. And they look back and they're like, crap, man, I gained another 4 pounds this year. Not a lot of weight, but over the course of 10 years, that's 40 pounds.
Exactly.
So but the flip side of that, so this is the famous phrase, you are the problem, but you're also the solution, which is awesome. You go, all right, I have this little problem here, but if I just provide a slight solution, all of a sudden I'm dipping in the other direction. And then the results are starting to spiral because you're consistently just a little bit better than maintenance. And that elevates the results very fast, right? So on the surface, people are like, well, why do people pay for coaching if it's so simple? Well, because ultimately you're not paying for the information that I just gave. You're paying for the implementation. You're paying for the accountability. You're paying for the tweaks and the structure and the customization and all that fun stuff, right? But man, that is the framework that has helped, I don't even know, I mean, thousands of guys at this point. But speaking from experience, I hate complicated stuff. I hate stuff that makes me feel like, man, I got to change everything about my life. I got to eat around the clock, Yeah. None of that works long term. So let's just keep it simple and sexy, dude. Like that's it.
Love it, man. Dude. Audience, I hope you got so much out of today. You need to hit my boy up. Hey, real quick, where can they find you? I put in the notes, but go ahead and tell them where they can find you.
Sure, man. Well, I have my own podcast. It's called the True Transformation Podcast. Outside of that, if you're on social media, there's two main platforms that we consistently put out new information. That's Instagram at Josiah Fitness and YouTube. If you go to youtube.com/True Transform, we put out one or two high quality information videos per week on how to transform your life permanently using fitness. But yeah, no, I appreciate you having me on, man. And I'm looking forward to having you on my show as well, so we can talk shop about self-improvement, your journey, and all the things you help people with as well.
Dude, I can't wait, man. I can't wait to go on this journey with you. Jack, to have you in the network as well and building your show and getting your show out to many, many more people so they can learn from you. So again, man, thank you so much. Audience, whatever you guys got out of today, just understand that there is support here. Reach out to my friend, at Josiah Fitness, and he can help you along the way. And look, the other thing that I need you guys to understand is if you are moving towards something and you are doing the best you can and you're implementing something daily, then I need you guys to give yourself some grace. Literally give yourself some grace and just understand that we're all trying to figure things out. You may be so good in an area that I struggle in, so you have a gift. So give your gift to somebody else so somebody can give their gift to you and get you on track. So without further ado, thank you guys so much. Share this episode with someone that you care about. Until next time, stay determined.
Shawn French, what up? This one luck, I let the pain inspire me. I put my all in everything I'm doing. Up until it's done, I'm me for the entirety. I put it in overtime, I be working. Just know I'ma go for mine, cause I earned it. They watching, I know it's time, I confirmed it. A whole society determined.